All right, Shalom Aleichem Rabotai, Bruchim Habayim. Welcome to our Wednesday class. I'm Yalkut Yosef, and we are in the juicy topic of Berachot. I don't remember when was the last time we had so many questions, and everybody was participating. I think the Berachot is a topic that everybody relates to. So Baruch Hashem, we're going to continue from where we stopped. We were talking about Berachot of things that perhaps their shape is not the original shape. What's the Bracha on them? For example, like a date that was squished, the Shulchan Aruch says that as long as you can see the shape of the date, but since it's been squished, then you say Borei Pri Ha'etz on it. So the Yalkut Yosef brings cases that may be similar, but also maybe a little bit different, and we'll see B'ezrat Hashem. So there's something in Hebrew, we call it leder. Leder is actually comes from the English word leather, but it means fruit roll-up. But it refers to the fruit roll that's made from the actual fruit, not like the ones you buy, like that are all artificial colors. Actual fruit, they take I don't know what fruits they use, mango or whatever it is, maybe Max Munchies if you heard of that, whatever that is. They flatten it, but it's the actual fruit. It's 100% fruit, or maybe they put a little bit here and there. So what's the bracha on this? So according to our understanding regarding the dates, it should be still borei pri ha'etz, because at the end of the day, you taste the fruit over here, you see the color of the fruit, it's there. But on the other hand, the shape is changed. So we learned that changing the shape for Ashkenazim, for Sfaradim, is not enough to change the beracha. For example, mashed potatoes. It used to be a big round potato. We mashed it. For the Sfaradim, it's still borei pri adama. Over here, however, says the Yalkut Yosef, that the beracha on this fruit roll-up that actually we're talking about that's made from more than 50% fruit, he says it's not a etz, it actually will be she'akol niyeh bidvaro. And the reason is because it did not only change its shape, but it also changed its name. People don't call it a mashed mango. That's not the word of it. They have a new word for it called leder, or in Hebrew, I guess you could call it fruit roll. In English, you call it fruit roll. But he says since the name changed, that's already another thing that you add on top. It's like in Sheva Berachot, we say panim chadashot, we need a new face. He calls it a new face. Once it has a new name and a new shape, it's already a new face. And then you should say she'akol niyeh bidvaro on it. But he adds that if someone said borei pri ha'etz, he has what to rely on, because at the end of the day, the Shulchan Aruch says that it is. He just thinks that lekatchila it should be she'akol because it already changed its name as well. All right. What do we do about items that are not healthy for you? Do you say a bracha on something that's not healthy for you? Right, and I think we all know the answer, but if someone drinks a lot of alcohol, or if someone eats something that has tons of margarine, halacha l'maaseh, we know, we say the bracha, but this would be an interesting conversation. If it's not healthy, maybe I should bless Hashem for it because it's only doing damage. There's a rabbi in Israel, Rav Meir Eliyahu, that he wanted to say that maybe they should make borekas outlawed, because borekas is just one of the most unhealthy things you can imagine. Thank God it wasn't outlawed, because it's also very delicious. So everything in a midah, everything if you eat in the right amount is fine. But yeah, generally margarine, we know it's very unhealthy. Still, if you eat it and you have pleasure, one of two pleasures, either it's a pleasure in your mouth, you enjoy the taste, or it fills you up, it gets the beracha, it deserves a beracha. He points out, the Yalkut Yosef, that there are a few fruits that are in a safek. Now, we touched this last week, but I didn't explain the root. How come certain fruits, we have a doubt regarding them? Apple, everybody knows it's a etz. Watermelon, everybody knows it's borei pri adama. What happens with some fruits that we have a doubt about them? So first we'll explain the principle, and then we'll talk about the fruits. When does a fruit become borei pri ha'etz, and when does it become borei pri adama? It's true, I think, like Steve mentioned last week, that if at the end of the day, if you say adama, everything is covered, because they both come out from the adama, from the ground. But the adama is the more wide beracha. It's like saying no matter what I eat, I could say she'akol. She'akol poter akol. Anytime I eat she'akol, it covers it. Yeah, but there's a value in saying a bracha that's more specific about something. Once I gave an example when I spoke at 1:30, I told him that some lady comes, she works hard, she makes a dinner, and she makes the rice and the tadig and the nachodo, and one kid comes and says, "Wow, grandma, you made amazing food, thank you." Okay, that's a nice compliment. Another kid comes and says, "Grandma, I noticed how you made the tadig, it was so crispy, it was so soft, and the gondi that you make, it was delicious." And he's being very specific. When does she feel better? When he be more specific, because it shows more appreciation. And therefore, when it comes to Berachot, even though they're very wide Berachot that we could say that could cover everything, but the more specific we are, the more valuable it is. So it's easy to say every Adama covers everything, but if we can't find the Etz, it's more specific than Adama. And instead of Shakol saying a Bracha that's more specific, obviously it has more value. So what's the reasoning behind the difference between Etz and Adama? It's not because if it grows on a tree, it's a Etz, and if it grows without a tree, it's Adama, even though it sounds like it. The root of it comes from what type of food is this? Meaning, some fruits, they grow one time, like a watermelon. Next year, it's done. Wherever that watermelon came out from, it's never going to give you more fruits. It's done. If you want a watermelon, you have to replant. Those things are borei pri adama. The things that get the bracha borei pri ha'etz is when you plant a seed and now something came up, either it's a bush or a tree, whatever it is, but every year it's giving us fruits. We don't have to do anything. That's borei pri ha'etz. If it's every year on its own giving us fruits, as opposed to something that it's done, now I have to replant. Now we have some fruits or vegetables that are in the gray territory. Because even though, for example, the banana tree, this is what I understood, that even though from the same place that the banana grew, it's not going to give us more fruit, so the branches die, but the root of the tree still stays in there. And I hope I'm being correct, but this is the principle. But since the root is still there and it's going to grow more branches, then they're going to give us fruit, then maybe it's considered already borei pri ha'etz, because even though there are no branches left, but the root is there. Or maybe it's adama, because at the end of the day, wherever it came out of, it's not repeating itself. So this is a territory that we have a few fruits like that we're not sure what the bracha is on them. One of them is pineapple, one of them is banana, and one is papaya. I don't know if you have so much papaya over here, but papaya looks a little bit like a mango. So these three, there's a doubt. There's a doubt if it's considered a etz halachically or considered adama. Halacha lema'aseh, since we have a doubt, we say borei pri adama. Because if we end up saying a etz and it really is adama, then we're in trouble. Okay. Now, what about popcorn or puffed rice cakes? Okay, so we know a bracha on cooked rice is borei min hamazonot. What happens when it's a rice cake? Anybody know the bracha on a rice cake? So
Guess mazonot.
It's surprising.
Shakol.
It's surprising. Not mazonot and not shakol. Borei pri adama. Borei pri adama. Yeah, because it's puffed. Items that are puffed, mostly the ones that we know, like popcorn as well, or puffed rice, becomes borei pri adama. Rice, when does it become borei min hamazonot? That's the usual bracha on it. When it's cooked in water, it becomes an item that is very filling, and it gets borei pri adama, but it meshed into something new. When you take the dry rice and you just puff it, or the dry corn and you puff it, those are going to be borei pri ha'adama. All right. What about, let's see if you understood the principle. If you understood the principle, I want you to tell me what the halacha is on this. Anybody know what chalva is? Chalva, it's made from sesame and some sugar or honey. We have it in our, I'm not talking about the Persian halva that's made out of, like, I don't know, rice or wheat. I'm talking about chalva. It's made from sesame and some sugar. That's what makes it, which is a very common food in Israel, very delicious. What would be the bracha on that? Anybody know? Excuse me. So let's break it down. It's made from sesame. The majority is sesame. So when we look at the majority, it's sesame. It should be borei pri adama. That's the bracha on sesame. However, says the Yalkut Yosef, once we start adding sugar and we create a new creation, then maybe the bracha changes. But what did we say? When it changes its shape, it becomes shakol? No, for the Sfaradim, no. Just like the dates that the Shulchan Aruch says, when you crush dates, it's still borei pri ha'etz. However, what do we call it? Do we call it crushed sesame? No, says the Yalkut Yosef. It received a new name. Remember this principle? He says that once it changed its shape and it received a new name, chalva, since it has a new name, then you should say shakol niya bidvaro. Again, if someone wants to say borei pri ha'etz, assuming that the majority is not sugar, if you have over 50% sugar or other items in it, anyway, it's shakol, right? But if the majority is not that, the majority is the borei pri ha'etz, borei pri adama item, then he says, even if someone said borei pri adama, it would be okay. He has what to rely on. But l'katchila, if it has two changes, that would be the bracha. It would be shakol. And now we're coming to perhaps one of the topics that has the most machlokot on what is the right beracha on it. Schnitzel. Schnitzel. What's the bracha on schnitzel? You take chicken, you put breadcrumbs on it, and you fry it. So there's a whole evolution of how this big machloket around schnitzel began. But normally, what will we think? What do you mean? It's chicken. When we eat chicken, what's the bracha? She'akol nea bidvaro. Say a few poskim. No, it's not chicken anymore. We took breadcrumbs and we wrapped it with an item that the bracha on the item is boreh min hamezonot. And even though it's a minority, it's not always a minority. If you go to some crispy fried chicken places, it could be the majority. But even though it's a minority, they say it doesn't matter. Once mezonot is in the picture, it doesn't matter if it's a minority or not. If it's there to give taste or to fill you up, the bracha on it is boreh min hamezonot. That's the rule. You take a cake, it's 70% made from oil and eggs and sugar, and less than 30% you put flour. The bracha is still boreh min hamezonot. It doesn't go by majority. Once the mezonot is in there, if it's there to fill you up or to give you flavor, the bracha on it is boreh min hamezonot. And I'm specifically saying the bracha is either it's there to fill you up or to give flavor, because we have cases where the flour is in there not for that. Like some places, it's low quality falafel bowls. The real falafel bowls have just the parsley and the chickpeas blended, but the lower quality ones, they put flour in because it gives it fluff. But that fluff is just to make it stick together and to give it a nice shape. But it's not there to fill you up more. It's not there to give you flavor. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to up the price, to be cheaper in the process of making it. Over there, it's not going to become mezonot, even though it has flour in it, because it doesn't fulfill the purposes. But when you eat certain items like a schnitzel, take a little boy. This is the opinion of Rav Butbul. Rav Butbul is the son-in-law of Rav Ovadia Yosef, huge Talmid Chacham. I saw a video recently of Rav Ovadia, and he talks about his boys, and he says, I also have twin girls. I have two girls, twin girls, and when they were born, people said, oh, you have girls. I said, what do you mean? The best blessing comes from these girls. And he said, both of these girls, Baruch Hashem, married Talmidei Chachamim. What bigger blessing can I have? I have the girls, and their husbands are like my sons, so I have Talmidei Chachamim. Either way, one of these sons that married the twins, or son-in-laws that he treats as a son, is Rav Butbul. And a lot of the halachot that I bring are from him. He's a great Talmid Chacham. He has a radio show every Friday and every Sunday. Sometimes it's Wednesday, where he explains about halachot Shabbat or about different topics and how to treat them. So his halacha is phenomenal. Says the Rav Butbul, in my opinion, the bracha on schnitzel is boreh min hamezonot, because at the end of the day, even though the majority is chicken, it doesn't matter. We learned that anytime mezonot comes into the picture, it should be mezonot, even if it's a minority. So in the past, Rav Yalkut Yosef said that it depends on the schnitzel. If really they put a very small amount over there, and it's not there to give flavor, it's just there so that the schnitzel doesn't stick to the bottom. I guess they would tap flour on the chicken so that it doesn't stick to the frying pan. So if it's just there for that, then it's still she'akol nea bidvaro, because it's not. It doesn't give the purpose of flavor. It doesn't give the purpose. It's just there for that. But a lot of controversy happened around this, because the fact of the matter is that the breadcrumbs are there for flavor. If you ask a little boy, you rather have chicken or you rather have schnitzel? What do you mean? Of course I want the schnitzel. Why? Because of the crispiness. Because I want the mezonot. So once you want the mezonot, it should become boreh min hamezonot. The conclusion, however, is, according to the Yalkut Yosef, and this I heard recently, that there's a difference when the mezonot is blended in, like the cake example that I gave, or when it's there as a cover. It's just there to give a covering to the item. He learns this from the Bet Yosef. The Bet Yosef is the book with all the theories of the Shulchan Aruch, and then from that he wrote a smaller book called Shulchan Aruch, where he actually writes the halachot. But all the background is the Bet Yosef. That's where you find all the reasoning, and when you have a question, you go there. Bet Yosef, the Shulchan Aruch is just the final answers. So he says that in the Bet Yosef, he understood, the way he learns the Bet Yosef, that if it's a wrapping, it has a different din. When the mezonot is blended in, it's always going to be mezonot. Once it gives you taste or fills you up, it's going to be mezonot. But if it's there just to wrap it, it doesn't get the din. And therefore, he says, schnitzel is going to stay schnitzel. It's chicken. It's she'akol nea bidvaro. And like him also holds one of the great rabbis of the Ashkenazim, and he also says once it's a tipui, once it wraps the item, It gets a different halakha. So just so you know, this is not agreed by everybody. This is a topic that is there's a big machloket around it. For example, you're eating a cheesecake. The cheesecake is all cheese, 99% cheese. On top, they put a very, 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 very thin layer of these biscuit crumbs. It's not blended in, and it's a minority. According to the understanding of Rav Budbul, this is still mezonot. Once it's in there, it doesn't matter how, it's there for flavor, it's mezonot. Other opinions would say, no, if it's wrapping it, then it needs to be an essential part. It needs to be a majority. It needs to take a lot. If it's a little bit, then what's still shakol. So I'm leaving you with this machloket. I'm not telling you what to do, but even though, since we are learning Yalkut Yosef, we'll say the halacha according to the Yalkut Yosef. The Yalkut Yosef holds that the schnitzel, the bracha on it, is shakol niya bidvaro, unless it's one of those schnitzels that has so many and so much fluff from the breadcrumbs that it already takes over the schnitzel. Like in some sort of Chinese restaurants where you have these dumplings or whatever it is that it's deep fried. I don't know, maybe sweet and sour chicken. If the chicken becomes such a minority and the dough becomes the majority of the item, then he would also agree that it's bolam and. But if it's just wrapping, a thin wrapping, but it's not really the essential part, he's going to hold that it's shakol nabidvo. All right. A bracha on chocolate. So again, we're not going to be talking about a chocolate that is made from 80% sugar and 20% cocoa, because already it's shakol, there's no question. The question begins when the majority is made out of cocoa. Cocoa, the bracha on cocoa, it grows on a tree. It's borei peri ha'etz, right? So now if I have chocolate, and today they make these high quality chocolates that are made from 70, 80, even 90% cocoa. In one of the shmoozes that Alav Shalom, my father-in-law, came out with, he listed the 10 most healthy items to eat in the world. So one of them was lemon, one of them was dark chocolate, not with sugar, just clean cocoa chocolate. There's a healthy item in that. So today they're selling them in the supermarkets. So these chocolates that are made out of 90% chocolate, what is going to be the beracha on them? So who wants to answer that according to the principles we learned today? Come on, guys. You can do it. Johnny, Baruch haba, you joined us. Okay. I'm gonna hand it to you, but let's see if we can get a ping pong going.
Yes.
Okay. Johnny, you want to try and answer what is the bracha on chocolate if the majority is made out of cocoa?
Ha'etz.
Whoa, you see, Johnny already is taking a side. There are no wrong answers, but let's dig into it. So according to the understanding that if the majority is made out of something that's etz, it should be borei peri ha'etz. However, you could say, what do you mean? It doesn't look like cocoa anymore.
Sorry, if he changed the shape and the name,
oh, that's what I wanted to hear. Fantastic. It changed the name and it changed the shape. He says that lekatchila it should be shakol. However, mishi omer borei peri ha'etz lo ifsid. But if you ended up saying ha'etz, you have what to rely on. So your answer was right, but he says preferably still say shakol niya bidvaro. That would be better, he holds. All right. Now for a topic that is very relevant, I'll tell you a story. First, the halacha, then a story. The halacha is that there's a difference between Ashkenazim and Sfaradim regarding how much of the grape juice or the wine that we drink on Shabbat needs to contain grapes in order to say borei peri ha'gefen. We may have touched this last week. For the Sfaradim, it needs to be majority, meaning 51% grapes, it's already borei peri ha'gefen, 49% she'akol niya bidvaro. Ashkenazim, however, don't hold like that. For them, a sixth, 16.6% grapes, the rest could be sugar, water, whatever you want, borei peri ha'gefen. And Rav Ovadia was very upset because the kashruyot in Israel used to all almost be Ashkenazim. So they will write on the bottle, Berkato borei peri ha'gefen, but when you look at the ingredients, it had 20% grapes, 30% grapes. So he says for the Sfaradim, we say borei peri ha'gefen on this, and you guys go and put it on all the bottles, right? According to the Ashkenazim, borei peri ha'gefen, but the Sfaradim, shakol niya bidvaro, write that. One time he was invited to a wedding, and in the chuppah they gave him that bottle, and he poured it, and he said, Savri Maranan, Baruch Ata Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, she'akol niya bidvaro. Everybody, whoa, the rabbi said she'akol, what happened here? What happened here? He wanted the halacha to spread, he wanted everybody to understand that that's the halacha. So since it has the majority of grapes, for Sfaradim it would be borei peri ha'gefen. But if it goes lower than that, then it would be she'akol niya bidvaro. today, because he did that, I think because he did that, I don't see any wine that's made from less than 50%. Even the Kedem ones, Kedem came out with a wine that has a Kedem light, they call it in Hebrew. It's probably called the same over here. It's the big Kedem, the usually that 2 liter ones, but instead of being a dark purple, it has like a lighter color to it. So if you look on it, it has less calories. And over there, it's not 100% grapes, but it's still 70% grapes. So it still gets the bracha borei pri hagefem. And I think everybody's being careful because they don't want to lose the Sfaradim. This is all thanks to Rav Ovadia Yosef. Do we have anybody here that likes to suck on a lemon? Some people like eating lemon. I feel like Levim, I see in my wife's family, they all eat lemons with everything all the time. Lemon juice here is on the table for every meal. Eating a lemon, what would be the bracha on that? What do you think? So naturally, a lemon is a fruit. It grows on a tree. I would say it's borei pri, it's just like an orange, just like everywhere else. But, however, says the Yalkut Yosef, it depends. Are you eating this lemon right now in a way that you are enjoying it? Some people put a little bit sugar on top and they eat it like that, and it's like a lemonade in their mouth and they enjoy it. We're not talking about someone just squeezing the liquid outside of the lemon. That's shakol. It's just, I'm talking about someone that eating a lemon with the essence, with the plum, with the pulp, taking a bite off it. So naturally it would be borei pri. But the chidush with lemon is that it's not a normal thing that people eat just like that. It usually comes as a seasoning. It usually comes as a side. It's not, most of the world, do they eat lemons just like that? The answer is no. And therefore it says if you're eating it with sugar and enjoying it as something sweet, okay, you could say borei pri ha'etz on it. But if you are eating it in a way that you're biting into the fruit, but you're not really enjoying it, but you're just doing it, that's not borei pri ha'etz. That's going to be she'akol na'eh b'dvaro. Let me give you another example. There are some foods that in one place of the world, the bracha will be borei pri adama, and in another place of the world, it's going to be she'akol na'eh b'dvaro. You know what I'm talking about? I'll tell you. Parsley, dill, cilantro. What is that? Is that a food or is that a seasoning? That's the question. So most people in America don't take cilantro like that and chew on it, or parsley or dill and chew on it. It's a seasoning for the food. So even though it's borei pri adama item, it comes from the ground, it's meant as a seasoning. It's not meant as a food. Once it's meant as a seasoning, the bracha is she'akol na'eh b'dvaro. Now you'll tell someone that's over 80 years old from the Mashadi community, you'll say, what are you talking about? Every Shabbat, next to my plate, I have a plate of greens. I've seen this, a man, a plate of greens, and he eats into the greens. He says, you guys, you don't eat it. I eat it. This is my way of eating. For me, it's borei pri adama. What are we going to tell this man? We're going to tell him, where do you live? You live in America or in Iran? No, but in Iran, that's how we ate. Okay, if you live in Iran right now, over there, the bracha is borei pri adama, because that's what they're used to doing. But it goes by the country. If you live in a country that the majority of people use these as seasoning, as not as an actual food, then the bracha is going to be she'akol na'eh b'dvaro. Think about an onion. This is strange to think about. A cooked onion, different story. People eat it cooked. But a raw onion, it always comes as a seasoning in a salad. What if a guy says, I want to make an onion salad? It's only made with onions, and I put lemon juice and sumac on top. You have to ask the statistic board. We have in Israel something called the Lishka Merkazit LeStatistika. You find out from them what exactly are the statistics. Do most people eat it like that or not? I would think that onions raw, most people don't eat them. And therefore in Israel, I am assuming the bracha would be she'akol na'eh b'dvaro. That's how usually you eat them in a meal, but no one's going to take an onion and bite through it, right? It's not so common. But if someone would do that, it would be she'akol, because that's not the way of eating it. If you bring a country that's the way of doing it, if the majority of people would do it like that, in that country it would be borei pri adama. But it goes according to where you live. So how did we get to this? We started with the lemon. If you live in a place that most people, for them, the lemon is coming as a seasoning, it's not an item that they eat on their own, the bracha would be she'akol na'eh b'dvaro. All right, next page. So this we spoke about yesterday, but last week, but I'll remind you again regarding drinking water. If someone is drinking the water, first of all, when do we get a borei nefashot? Right, just like with bread, we have amotzi, and then at the end we have birkat hamazon. There's criteria. How do I get to Birkat Hamazon? I have to eat at least 1 ounce of bread in a matter of 4 to 7 minutes, depending on the opinion you lean on, so that I'm full by that. It's limited by time. Then I say Birkat Hamazon. With drinking, what do I have to drink and how much time to get the Beracha Chona? Because if I'm sipping tea or coffee, I'm taking little sips, I'll tell you right front. There's no Beracha Chona for tea and coffee because it's too hot, so you're taking very small sips. In order to get a Beracha Chona on liquids, you have to drink a Revi'it. A Revi'it is 3 ounces. Let's say those plastic cups they give in shul. I'm talking about the small ones, not the big ones. 2/3 of those plastic cups. You drink a 2/3 of that, like in a row, if it's water, then you get bo nefashot. But if you just drank a half a cup of that or a third a cup of that, you stop, then another sip, then another sip. No bo nefashot.
Wait, Ziv, if you drink it sip by sip, but fast, like in a matter of like 1 minute?
No bracha chona. No, it's a matter of 2-3 seconds. That's the most you can. If you drink a sip and stop, and then you do another, you're allowed to stop maybe once. Some say twice, but that's it. And for a second or two, it can't be a big break. Meaning the whole thing shouldn't take more than 7 seconds from the beginning until you finish. That's I'm saying a number from my mind, but that's pretty much the time. So it has to be in a row in order for you to say bo nefashot. Yeah. So this could happen with, with sweet drinks that kids like, or when you're playing sports and you want to drink a lot. But if you're just taking little sips, it's not so common that you'll say bo nefashot. Okay. As we said last week, if the drinking reason right now is not because I'm thirsty, but it's because I want to swallow a pill, there's no bracha because I don't want the water. It's not there to fill me up, and it's not where to give me taste in my mouth. Coke, if I take a pill with Coke, I'm not thirsty. Yeah, but why still am I going to say shakol? Because why did I choose Coke? I could have chosen water. Because I want my mouth to enjoy. There's a pleasure in my mouth. Since there's a pleasure in my mouth, there would be shakol yam bidvaro. The question is regarding seltzer. Some say seltzer has no flavor. It's just like water. Some say, what do you mean? If I had wanted no flavor, I would have drank water. Halacha l'maaseh, we treat seltzer as water, and the bracha on a seltzer, flavorless. I'm not talking about the ones that have a lemon twist. For sure, you want the flavor. But a flat seltzer, you just enjoy more bubbly water than regular water, still we consider it no bracha if it's there just to take the pill. Okay. This we mentioned last week, if someone eats something that is not kosher, all right? So the doctor told him, it's very good for you to eat the liver of a dog. I don't know, okay? Imagine a situation like that. We hear some crazy stories in the Gemara like that. What do you do? So even though Shulchan Aruch says that you should eat, why? Because the Torah wants you to eat. If the doctor is telling you to eat, it means that the Torah wants you to eat because the Torah is saying that you have to protect your life. And if this is helping your health, you should say a Beracha. However, says the Yalkut Yosef, even though he holds like that, better not to hold like him. Don't come to a machloket because at the end of the day, there's a machloket. This is not kosher. How am I saying a bracha on it? Shulchan Aruch would say, no, still say. Okay, so it's a machloket, right? So usually we follow Shulchan Aruch. But when do we not follow Shulchan Aruch, says the Yalkut Yosef, regarding safek brachot, when there's a doubt if you need to say a bracha or not, even if the Shulchan Aruch will tell us, say bracha, we say no. Safek brachot, we have a doubt, we don't go into it. Shev ve'al ta'aseh adif. Better you sit and don't do anything. So when you're eating something unkosher because the doctor told you it's healthy for you, bottom line, do not say a bracha. But, he says, there's another scenario. What's the scenario? The item is kosher. It's fully kosher. Only what? The timing is not allowing me to eat it right now. For example, Yom Kippur, Tisha B'Av, Lo Alenu, someone, let's say for a happy reason, a lady just gave birth or whatever it is, and they tell her she has to eat on Tisha B'Av for a happy reason. It's asur to eat right now. So if she eats, does she say a beracha? Yom Kippur, someone's not feeling well, he has to eat. He has to protect his life. That comes first. We'll tell him that even though it's asur to eat right now, you should say the beracha. Why? Because it's not that the item is asur, it's that the time is asur. But if you're going to eat it after it's allowed, therefore you say the beracha. But if you're eating something kosher, it's not about the time, it's forever not kosher. And therefore, even though the doctor recommended it, eat it, but do not say an beracha on that. All right, I don't know how are we on time. No, it's time. Okay, we'll stop right here, Rabotai. תזכו למצוות, חזק וברוך.
Hazak Baruch. Thank you, Ziv.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.